Girls, Sean, Gunn, and Yanic Truesdale!
What an entrance. Hi, everybody. I understand that you only have one microphone in the city of Cornwall, so we're going to project. Yeah, no, we have to speak loudly. Use your theater voice.
All right. Hello, people.
So we'll allow people to start lining up now, and if you'd like to stand back up again. But before we get...
Stand back up and stay standing.
Stay standing the entire time. So, welcome to Cornwall.
Thank you.
Enjoying your stay?
Yeah.
Yeah.
We just got here.
Next?
No, I know. You know what? Because everyone's going to ask, we may as well just preemptively say that...
What?
Everyone's going to ask if they're shooting more Gilmore Girls. And
Sean knows, I don't know.
No, the answer is no. I mean, really, it's like everyone with that. Because every person that comes up to the table asks how they're going to shoot more. And it's like, I know Netflix would like to, and you kind of never say never, but there are no plans as of now to shoot anymore.
That's right.
So I was just getting that done because I know people care about that.
That's to cheer you up.
Well
done.
I should have started.
Well done.
Well, you know, I don't, you know.
You'll never see us again.
Right.
Have a great day.
Am I wrong? People were curious, right?
But the truth is, we have no clue. So
that's true. We have no clue.
Anna, has nobody come to see you? No? Fine. Then I'll start asking. Oh, okay. There. All right.
Great one. So I just want to say in the revival, your storylines were two of my absolute favorite. I had three favorite, yours and Emily's.
Oh, yes.
It was a little bit different, I think, than what a lot of people expected, but I think what they did with your characters was amazing. And I just want to know, when you started this series, did you know that your characters would evolve as they did? Because they were, I think, starting off, you know, you don't really know, but they became very complex. And sort of what was the evolution process for you, and what's your favorite part of the characters?
You want to start?
I have been craving for more storylines from Michel to reveal about a little bit more about who he was, because everybody kept asking me, but what does he do in Starzalo? What is it like? Does he have any friends? Who is he dating? Like, it's always been a mystery. It's been a mystery to me too. I was like, I don't know why he ended up there. So the revival was very gratifying in that sense. Like from the first moment he walks in, he's like, oh, he's married. Oh, he's married to a guy. Oh, you know. Okay, so finally we have some answers. Yeah. So I thought that was great.
Yeah, I loved how that was handled too.
Yeah,
like it was just.
Yeah, it's just like that's it. But I guess back in the days in television, that was an issue. Amy has always said that she wanted Suki to be a lesbian, and the network said no, absolutely not. So I guess in 2017, it's no longer a thing. So. So that was great, and the whole fact that he doesn't really like children and he's trying to go along with the plan. Yeah, that was great. I thought that was a nice icing on the cake for the return for me to go a little more personal and find out more about who he was. So,
You know what? I have a question. I have a question for you, Yannick.
Yeah,
did Michel live in Star? Because I always got the impression
I don't know.
He worked in Star. But he was never in the town. He was never in town meetings. Right?
No, we went to his house once, but they didn't say where the house was. He was getting ready to see a Celine Dion concert or something. What was the story? I can't remember. Anyway, but I remember shooting that scene at 5 a.m. They had been shooting for 23 hours. It was like one of the most insane days.
That brings back memories.
But yeah, I don't know where he was. I don't know.
I'll answer that question. I didn't know that my character was going to be on the show, so I did a one-day role on the second episode, and just started to, Amy kept asking me back, and then I think it took a while. If you go back and watch those early episodes, Kirk is quite different from where he sort of lands. So I think that, like, in the first few episodes of the first season, we were just kind of working it out. And I didn't know that it was going to be this character who was going to be part of the town sort of fabric, So yeah, I think it evolved a little bit.
Anybody else? Okay. Oh, here we go.
Probably
Yeah, yeah. I think
stand and speak for you.
if you're not going to line up, you can just put your
It
hand
makes me
up.
want to come out here to answer. Well, that's a good question.
I was just wondering, did you, two questions actually. Did you have a favorite episode to shoot? And also, do you have a favorite character other than your own?
Favorite character, I really love Emily's character. I just think she's so complex and she has so much going on. And I just can relate to her dysfunction and her trying to love her daughter but having all this resentment and this disappointment and all of that. So she would be the character, I guess. What was the other question again?
Favorite episode?
Oh, episode. Ooh, that's a tricky one. I love the episode where Michel lost his dogs in the funeral because it was something very personal to him and can be silly, but anyone who's had an animal know that it's not really silly that, when you lose a dog or a cat. So that episode was very special. I also like the episode, someone mentioned it today, I forgot, where he goes to The Price is Right, and he wins a Winnipeg. Oh, you mentioned it, right? Yeah. And that was a good episode. He got Botox, and he was all excited. If everyone in LA discovered that they had an accent with the coffee beans, and he's like, everyone talks like me. Yeah, those two episodes. Yeah.
I'm gonna say a favorite character. I'm also gonna say Emily.
Right?
But part of it's just I just think.
And she's such
I
a
think
great
Kelly
actress.
Kelly
Yeah.
Bishop's performance is just masterful on the show. Like, I always think I don't really care about acting awards. I think that they're stupid. But if anyone deserves one, Kelly Bishop deserves one for her performance on the show. She's amazing. And Liza too. I think Paris is a really great character.
Yeah, that's true.
Favorite episode. I think my favorite episode to be a part of was the one where Kirk plays Tevye and Fiddler on the Roof. Because that episode is really, it's funny, but it's also really, there's something really absurd about it, and it's touching too, because there's this scene where Kirk and an 8-year-old girl have a duet. They're singing "Do You Love Me" from Fiddler on the Roof. No, Kirk plays Tevye, and this was based on something that Amy and Dan actually saw in their real life, which is that they had gone to a friend's, like a friend had a young daughter that was like 7 or 8 years old who was in a musical, and they did Fiddler on the Roof. And Amy and Dan were like, we gotta see this. We gotta see children doing Fiddler on the Roof. But so they had, so it was all these little kids, but Tevye, they found out later the role was too big to be handled by an 8-year-old. So so the guy who was like the musical theater teacher, who was like, what I understand was like just enormous gay black man, was playing Tevye with all these 8-year-olds. Which Amy and Dan thought was the most hilarious thing they'd ever seen. And it took them years to get the rights. They wanted to do that, season 1 they wanted to do that episode. But for years they couldn't, it was too expensive to get the rights to Fiddler on the Roof. And then they finally let him do it in season 5 or whatever. And I just think it's a great episode because you have this absurd moment where like Kirk and the young girl are singing, but then you see Luke and Lorelai in the wings like staring at each other, and they're having this very touching moment. And to me it's sort of like, that's Gilmore Girls at its best, when you can juxtapose something sort of funny and ridiculous with something that makes you feel something. And also, just from a personal standpoint, any episode where I didn't have to do, like, I'm lazy, so like when I played the announcer at the hockey game, I loved doing that episode because I got to just sit in a chair.
Which episode was, I think it's season 5, when Emily and Richard are getting married again? Is that, yeah? That episode, for some reason, I remember being a fantastic episode, but I was not even in it, so it has nothing to do with me.
You watched the episodes you weren't in?
Sometimes.
I did too.
Sometimes.
I did too.
Well, clearly I missed that episode, that your favorite episode, but anyway. I'll catch it.
All right, well, here we go.
Are there any scenes that stand out to you that you could not get through because it was too funny and you kept cracking up? And, you know, like the blooper roll, where you just couldn't handle it?
There's one I remember.
Yeah.
There's one that sticks out to me, and it was an episode where Kirk is walking all these dogs. He becomes a dog walker. And at the very end of that episode, there's a dog that's been unclaimed. Like, so he doesn't know where the dog belongs. And I remember, I don't know, it was just very late at night, and I think we'd been shooting all day, and we were very punchy. And I just had to go in, and it's Lauren and Alexis and Scott are there, and I've got this dog, and I'm trying to figure out what his name is by making random sounds. And I was just making a series of random sounds, and I remember that we kept laughing for a while. It was, and anything where Liz and Sally get going.
Oh my God, they had a funny thing where we were shooting, you know, sometimes in LA if you shoot during the summer or August or September, it gets really, really hot. And we were on set, and Sally and Liz were hanging out together, and they didn't have their chairs. So I don't know, they asked for their chairs, and the chairs weren't coming. And Liz turned around to Sally, and she said, "Don't they know who we were?"
Oh God, they're so great. They're so great. It's a shame that, because it's interesting doing this panel with Yanic because we both did the show for 7 years, but we had very few scenes.
We never worked together.
We didn't.
I barely know him. I met him today for the first time. He seems nice.
I do. Yeah, so it's kind of interesting, but yeah, so you didn't get to work too much with. I love working with the old timers, with Liz and Sally and
No,
Mike
I never worked
Waters,
with them. Never.
And I got to do so many scenes with them, and they, and it was a lot of fun.
I had one scene with Ed, who we were having dinner at I don't remember which episode, I don't know what was happening, but we were having dinner at the inn, and I was sitting next to him. I forgot what was the scene, and we just had to do some small talk, and Ed, who's so sophisticated and tall and had this great voice, but he would tell me the most vulgar jokes. And then I would have to stay in character, Michelle character, poker face, but it was very funny. Yeah.
But you also didn't have to do those interminable town halls.
No, none. It wasn't my contract.
Just those were because that's like a structure on the Warner Brothers lot. It's not really well built for shooting it. It's not air conditioned. It's not heated,
air conditioned, yeah.
and it's not. There aren't removable walls everywhere, so it's really hard to shoot in there. It's a small space that would be packed with people, and we'd have to do coverage of 14 different characters.
Yeah.
So it was like those scenes would take forever to shoot.
Yeah.
Yeah. And at some point, Liz and Sally would start doing old show tunes. You could set your watch to it.
We got another question? Yeah.
So, having such a big gap between when the series ended and then the revival, how was it revisiting those characters? Did you fall right back into it? Did you have to go back, watch some episodes, get back into characters?
I was
How
wondering
that
about that. I wasn't sure. I certainly didn't watch anything back or anything, but it happened twice in my career actually. Now you just reminded me. I never got to play another part. Look, I started my career by doing the Birdcage on stage, and 15 years later, my agent in New York calls me and says they're doing the Birdcage on Broadway, and they would love to see you. And I was like, no, that's not. First of all, I did it when I was 19 years old. I just felt too old. I just felt like I'd done already 300 shows. I didn't want to do it again. And then she convinced me, and of course I went. And then to the audition. And then I read the material, and literally within 10 minutes, everything I did on stage for a whole year, it all came back. It's like it stays with you. So it's a little bit the same with Michelle. You put me a suit, you give me Amy's words, and you put me behind a desk, and there he is. Michelle is there. So it's because we played those characters for so many years. I think they're just there. It's very easy to go back to it.
Yeah, I had
mean,
the same experience
right?
pretty much. I was a little nervous.
I was a little nervous,
I was
yeah.
like, I was like, is this going to be like riding a bike? I mean, is it like, can I just slip back into it? And I didn't really know. And the first scenes that I shot, my very first day on set for the revival, were black and white scenes where I don't have any dialogue, like where I'm like shoveling. In the second film by Kirk, where I'm like shoveling dirt onto the grave, and then the scene where I'm like cradling Pell in my arms, crying, and so whatever. And so it's that. But really, it was once I started saying Amy's
Right.
lines, it comes right back.
Yeah.
Like it's because that rhythm is
Yes.
inside of me somewhere,
Yeah.
you know. Like so,
Yeah.
yeah. I came back quickly.
Yeah. Interesting things.
Next.
Don't be shy.
Speaking of the revival, how did they approach you, like, to come back? Like, was it interesting? Was it?
Well, I got my agent. Yeah, right. My agent sent me an article that said in Variety that said that the show that they were mentioning people and that the show was coming back. But you know, we've had a lot of rumors over the years, right?
Yes,
Like so, I was
yes.
just like, but she said no. This seems more. So I called Lauren. And I said, hey, and she's like, yeah, but I mean, I haven't signed anything, and we're talking. And then right before Christmas that year, whatever that was, we got a call from a producer at Warner Brothers saying like he will get a call after the holidays. We're putting a pin on him. This show's coming back.
Yeah,
Right.
I had Amy wrote me an email and I hadn't, or maybe a text message or something.
Oh well, I didn't have that privilege.
But I hadn't spoken to her in a little while, and she was
Yeah.
like, "Hey, can we meet for drinks?" And so I went out and met and sat down with Amy and Dan because they knew I was shooting exactly over the time.
Oh.
So I was, because we ended up shooting.
Oh, that's true. You were.
We ended up shooting Gilmore Girls shot like what, February, March, and April or something.
Yes.
Like
Yeah, February, March, April, then we ended May 6th.
February, March, and April,
Yeah.
yeah, and ended May 6th, right. And I shot Guardians 2, I started the third week of January and went till June 15th or whatever. So it was totally booked, I mean, it was totally, so they sat down and they were like, hey, we're in talks to maybe do this, it looks pretty good, it looks like it's gonna happen. I wanna know, can we use you at all? Like, is there any, if we do it, can you come back? And I was just like, I think I'll be able to work around it. But I was having to go back and forth from Atlanta to LA. They were able to squeeze all my scenes into only like 4 trips or something.
Oh, well.
Back, which was pretty good. And I was really happy with how much screen time I got considering I'm busy. But yeah, it was a very interesting time of my career, playing 2 roles in Guardians and 1 in Gilmore Girls all at the same time. But I was happy it came back. I mean,
Yeah.
Hi.
This is more for Sean, I guess. Did you find a big difference between TV Gilmore Girls and then like filming Guardians? Like obviously they're very different shows, but is it much different or?
Well, in some ways, the biggest difference for Guardians is how big the budget is.
Oh.
So like everything is so, there's so much. You go to there's days on set when there's 80 makeup artists.
Oh my God.
You
have to do, don't they?
Yeah, and so like it's I don't know though. For the most part, from an actor's point of view, from the actual shooting of the storytelling perspective, they don't feel that different to me. I mean, TV, the process is much different because it's way more chop, chop, chop. You got to get your day in. If you don't get your day in, you're screwed. So you have to. Movies aren't quite like that.
Compared to like your
You
brother
don't
to
get it.
Amy, a big difference.
I actually see more similarities in them than differences. I mean, I think, obviously being, directing a big action space opera, I don't think that's necessarily in Amy's wheelhouse. Not that she couldn't, but I think that in terms of how taut the scripts are, my brother and Amy, I've been very, very fortunate that in the last, that's what I was spending so much time working on, were those projects where the scripts are just really, really well well crafted, and there's really not. As writers, neither one of them really has a wasted word anywhere, which is what you want when you're an actor, you know. So yeah, they're different in some ways, but I think they're both like people that I hope to work with in one way or another for the rest of my career.
Fun to work with your brother, though? You didn't fight all the time?
No, he's great. He's good at his job, so
yeah.
it makes it easy. No, we don't. There's no rivalry.
Yeah.
So,
They know all the things. They're like, we all, what are we going to ask? I've seen it.
Sorry.
No.
I actually have two questions. One, how much creative input did you guys have into your characters, into Margaret and Frankie Shaw's? How many jobs did Kirk actually have?
Some of you can answer that better than I can.
Creative input for the character, very, very little.
Yeah.
If no. Amy has everything in her head, and you know, it's not a show where we ad-libbed or improvised. Zero. We couldn't even change it. No. So
There is not a syllable that is not in the script.
the only input I had was actually when Amy was gone the last season. The actual dog funeral was my idea. So I pitched that to the writers.
The creative input would be, you know, like Amy would see me dancing at a party, and so she'd put
Right.
me dancing.
Yeah.
She'd put me dancing into the show.
I had that too.
Is that creative input?
Yeah.
You know?
She saw me at the Christmas party dancing, and then I ended up dancing at the reception at the end.
You know, I mean, sometimes I look at, you know, like, I don't know.
Right.
Sometimes I look at it. There's a type of creative input just in terms of how you play something. You know,
Yes.
that starts to steer a character in a direction, maybe.
For
But
sure.
no, but we didn't. It's not like we sat down and said, "Hey, I think we should do this or do that." Like that did not happen.
And I think like any writer, if they try something new with your character and they haven't seen you do it, and you do it well, then they're like, oh, I want more of that.
Yeah.
Then you get more. I'm
Yeah.
sure the first time,
Like me with getting naked.
you get
You saw me naked once on the show, and she said,
like,
"I
oh
want
my
more of
God,
that."
I want more of that. And me getting angry. Like, I want more of that. Yeah, and that's it.
What was the second question? Oh, how many jobs? I don't know.
Jobs.
Somebody counted. I've had people count, and I forget. It's like I think the number. Because do you count the ones that you just saw him do, or do you also count the ones that you hear him talk about? Because those are two different numbers. And the first number I think is like in the low 50s, but the second number is like 150 or something. So I don't know.
Oh, it was just kind of a follow-up to the last question. When I said the funniest scene, is there a scene that was so difficult to do? I don't know. You guys didn't have many.
Oh my God, there was a scene. Well, no, but there was a scene. We talked about that scene today. The swan scene, the swan episode, whatever. There's something I had to say in that episode where sometimes an actor, you have your brain freezes, and it was a very simple line. But for some reason, the first time it came out wrong. It was like, oh, sorry about that. So do it again, and then 3-4 times, and then it starts to be a thing. Then you start sweating, and then that line, and then to the point where I did that line like 24 times, and Amy came to me and she's like, "Are you okay, honey? Do you want us to take a break?" And I'm like, no, it's a stupid line. Like I know the line. And anyway, so that was very stressful. That line, whatever that line was. Thank God I don't remember what the line was. Yeah, I don't know, but that rarely happens. But sometimes it happens.
For me, it's stuff where I was like physically uncomfortable, like that. I had to wear a hot dog suit in an episode that was like a real pain in the ass to wear, and a parachute one time, and it was just like heavy, and you know, it's getting naked, taking my shirt off, like all that stuff. It's not always I don't know. It's like the stuff people love the most, and it's the stuff that I'm like.
Oh, here we go. Now it's starting.
Oh, what happened?
Okay, like 4 people put their hands
That's
up.
this gentleman back here in the
This is getting out of control, people.
Watching it one time, and Dragonfly didn't look really familiar to me. And then I started thinking about, well, that was the Walton's house.
I can't hear.
He's
The
asking
Wal-
if the
the-
dragonfly is the Walton's house.
The Walton's house? That sounds correct to me. I know it was something. I know the Walton's house was used somewhere. Is it the exterior you're talking about?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's the exterior is the same.
Like when they did the revival, are all the sets just put away after the series?
Oh, yeah. Everything was demolished. They've rebuilt everything from scratch.
Oh. I always thought they just did like that Hobbiton thing. And
Uh-uh.
yeah, you can just come to Stars
No.
Hollow.
No, so that was part of like the
some
magical.
some of the town.
Oh, the town. The town.
The town is there.
Yeah.
You know, so like where Luke's is and when they're walking around the town circle where the gazebo is and all that stuff, like.
But without the.
But without any of the facades. But
Right.
at least that stays there, and like the town meetings that's a building that's there.
But all the stages were
But
demolished.
all the
Like
stages
Lorelei's
were-
house, the inn, like
Yeah.
Emily's, like all of that didn't exist anymore. So that was part of like the magic to walk back on set
Yeah.
into a set that no longer existed 2 months ago. You know, and it's pretty accurate. Like I could a little bigger. The inn was felt a little bigger, but other than that, it was like the same.
Yeah, everything.
Yeah.
I think they made everything a little bit bigger. So
They made everything to have more
so
room,
they could
which
have
makes
yeah,
sense.
shoot,
Yeah,
easier to shoot.
yeah. Yeah.
For the birdcage you're talking about, going back to
Yeah.
theater, stage, acting versus
Yeah.
television show, and I just wondered if there's a big gear change.
For me, there
doing one
was.
to the other.
For me, there was because I don't know your background, but I did the National Theatre School of Canada, so I did a 3-year program. And I can have a bigger than life personality, like I can be loud, so theater was a natural fit for me. And then I was doing the same when I started doing television, and I would see playbacks and be like, ooh, okay,
Yeah,
need to bring it down. And that took a
I never
while.
did.
I never did. Yeah, but there's definitely a learning curve there to learn to not have to project anything, but just feel and trust that the camera catches in your eyes or whatever what's going on with you. Which, I'm sorry, but when you're doing a play and there's 2,000 people, you need to reach out that last row. They paid and they need to feel what you. So it's a completely different art form. Yeah.
Yeah, it's funny. My background is quite similar. I didn't log as many hours on stage ultimately, but I did. I went to an acting conservatory and was trained in theater and yeah, I had the exact same experience with the first things that I did. You know, seeing them and being like, oh God,
Oh, shit.
I'm way too big.
I know.
And it's like the best way I can describe it is that acting on film is kind of like it's only similar to acting in a play if the audience is basically sitting
In your
like,
face.
on your face.
Right.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
that you know the audience if the audience is right here.
Yeah.
So it is very different. I think there's a lot of little technical adjustments. I mean, yeah, there's
And the voice also.
underlying for sure.
The
Yeah.
voice. Now you don't have to project. You're
Yeah.
doing television. You can talk to that. You
No.
don't have really mellow
I still
conversation.
project too much on screen when I'm not projecting. You know what I mean? Like
Right.
I still.
But you have a natural. Your voice is naturally. You know what I mean?
Do you really think so?
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah, no, I
But
have
Michael
a voice.
Caine said something about that, which I thought was interesting. He said, every time the camera gets closer, I take less. I do less. I
Yeah,
do less.
yeah,
I do
yeah.
less.
For sure.
So you pull back, you pull back, you pull back. It's a craft. You learn it your whole life. I think that's why older actors are so amazing, because they're effortless.
Yeah.
They're at that place where they've learned just to be
Yeah.
and trust. When you're younger, you want to prove. You want to make people laugh. You want people to feel a certain way. So you're more forceful in your acting. And when you get older, you're just.
I think about that when I think of Edward Herrmann all the time.
Yes.
I'm like, he's just so comfortable
Right.
on screen. He's
Yeah.
just so comfortable and he's so relaxed and so effortless. And I really would watch that and be like, that's what I want. That's
Yeah.
where I'm aiming towards getting in my career, is to be that comfortable. Because I also have a, it's not just going from stage to film. I mean, I had it going from Gilmore Girls to other projects because Gilmore Girls has there's a range of how broad the comedy is.
Yeah.
And my character is on the far end of that, of that range. It's as broad as the show gets. And probably at times gets too broad. I think it's, there are times people could be probably rightly critical of it getting too broad comedically, I don't know. But going from that to then doing a bigger movie where there's like extreme close-ups and stuff like that, it was still, tricky technically to bring it down and to adjust.
Yeah.
I think I saw a hand over here.
I was just gonna ask, when you got the script for the revival,
Yeah.
how did you react to the ending?
Oh, the ending.
Did
That's
you
a
get
good
End
question.
pages for the end?
It wasn't in
Well,
there.
we did, right?
Mine didn't. Mine said,
Oh, really?
the script that I had said, I guess because it was being protective, it says, they say the last 4 words, but it didn't say what they were. It
I'm
just said,
special.
here they say. And I actually did not know what they were until I watched it. I was one of the
Oh,
actors.
really?
Yeah, because they had said, do you want to know? And I was like, nah, I'll just watch it.
Oh.
And so I didn't know until it came.
I knew, and they made a lot of sense because I understood why Amy would do that. I just felt like, oh Lord, people are gonna be like, but we need what? What? So I saw that coming, which basically was the reaction of people, which I understand. But I also understand the thinking behind it. Like life, it's full circle. We try to get away from where we come from, and no matter how much we try, we'll go back to, yeah.
I will say though, even though I didn't know for sure what they were, I was up late drinking one night with Todd Lowe.
You?
How dare you? With Todd Lowe, who played Zach on the show, and he's like, "Do you know what the last four words are?" I'm like, no, I don't know. I know people know, but I don't really, I'll see it. He's like, "She's got to be pregnant, right? That's got to be it, right?"
Oh, he knew?
He
didn't
guessed.
know, but he
correctly
guessed.
guessed.
Wow.
And then when he said that, I thought about it, and I'm like, I bet you're right. I bet that's it.
Oh, wow, he's
That's-
good.
yeah.
That's good.
Yeah, so I thought that was, I give him his props for that.
Wow. Yeah, I have no clue. I'm clueless. I'm just pretty. Kidding.
Okay, well, then I'm going to ask one. My favorite fan theory about the Gilmore Girls
Yeah.
is that the revival is the actuality of the relationships of all the people in the series. The way Rory is, the way she is with her mother, the way she is with her father, the way that Michelle is with Lorelai, and everybody else. That's the actual relationship. But the series is the fluffed up version that Rory writes, so she doesn't hurt her mother with the reality of what happened. And when I heard that theory and watched it again, I was just like, oh my god, because you watch the revival episodes.
Yeah.
And Rory cannot make a decision that ends up working for her to save her life.
Right.
Her mother is scared of the story Rory wants to tell, doesn't want her to print it at all. Her relationship with her father is very cold.
Yeah.
And I always thought it was just because Alexis Bledel can't hug people to save her life. So it's like, just make it cold and then it won't be weird. But then because my wife, I introduced her to her on my third viewing.
Yeah.
But now she's up to 5 viewings without me. She just watches it back to back. So I watched the full series after the revival, after having heard that, and it changed the whole show for me.
Oh, that's
Like you're watching it now, and you're like, oh, this is the sugar-coated.
The older version.
I get what you're saying. I get the theory.
This is a good.
It's an interesting
If
theory.
you like the show, if it makes you enjoy the show, go to town.
But have you heard any other? Like, is there something that somebody had thrown out there that made you look at the show different?
Oh, that made.
Like not necessarily.
Well, a couple of people have come up to me and say that there's a fan theory that Kirk is Taylor's son. Oh.
Oh, really?
My first instinct is who cares?
Yeah, oh, yeah, who cares?
But it's like, why is it like, oh, it's a fascinating theory?
But
It's
wasn't it like
even
Taylor,
if it
like,
was,
a
it's
little
not that big
gay?
of a deal.
Yeah, Taylor's a little gay.
They
right?
hinted, there was a joke about that
Right?
in the revival about
Yeah.
how Gypsy's like, really, Taylor? There's
Yeah.
no other gay person
Yeah.
now? Really? Not one?
Yeah.
So, I think that might put a pin in that theory. But,
Oh. I mean, some fan wrote that they
I
thought
don't
that
know.
I was in love with Lorelai.
yeah, no.
Good afternoon, CAPE attendees. It's going on 3:30, which means Doctor Who Society of Canada is having their raffle at 4 o'clock.
No?
$5 for one ticket, $10 for 3, and $20 for 10. All proceeds benefit neonatal intensive care. Help the dogs exterminate illness and tag humans and help support CHEO. Again, you have half an hour till the draw. Stop on by the DWSC, look for the TARDIS.
Well, if you'll choose me, I have a doctor. That was a long announcement.
Yeah, that's a long one. That's funny.
All right, yeah. Yes? You?
Yep.
Cool.
Yeah.
On a lot of sets, like off filming, there's lots of stories of people being like pranksters and stuff like that. Did anything like that happen on set? Was anyone specifically like the best prankster, or did you guys rule it out? Were there anything like that?
I don't remember any of that.
No,
Was there?
unless you consider reading the New Yorker, that's about all I did on set.
Yeah.
No, I don't know. I get that question at conventions a lot. It's
Oh,
like,
really?
Yeah, people always want to know what practical jokes people played on each other on set, and it's like, we are adults at work, you know? I mean, we joke around and have fun and whatever, but as far as like, I don't know.
It was, one has to keep in mind that we had an average of 20 to 30 pages more than a normal
Yes.
1 hour show,
Yeah.
which meant that
Yes.
our days were super long. And so we had a lot of dialogue.
Yeah.
So it required a lot of concentration.
The general rule of film on television is that it's usually around a page a minute.
Yeah.
And we had, for a 42-minute show, our scripts averaged over 80 pages.
Yeah.
Scripts.
So I think that really made us.
80 pages,
yeah.
and we shot episodes in 8 days. So
Yeah.
every
normal. Yeah.
Every day being over 10 pages. If you don't work in the industry, that might not mean anything.
Yeah.
But that is insane.
Yeah, it's
There's
insane.
no other show. I don't think there's ever been a show like that on television.
Every job
That many
interview I would
pages.
go or audition or whatever for other things, people would be like, "Oh my God, like how is it?"
Yeah. No, I know.
We were the talk of the town. Like
Yes.
this was a tough.
It was
show.
a notoriously
Yeah.
difficult show to work on.
Yeah.
For that reason.
Yeah. So
but,
no time for pranks.
Yeah, we didn't have a lot of pranks, but yeah,
Yeah.
it's still amazing to me because that means every day that if you have to do it a day that's you can only get 6 or 7 pages in, then you have to make it up with
Then-
13
yeah.
or 14 pages.
Yeah.
Which is like, I don't know.
So it's really hard on the girls. The
Yeah.
girls worked so
They
much.
did. It started to make them crazy a little bit.
Yeah.
It really did.
Yeah, but I understand. Like they have no lives.
I totally understand.
Yeah. They
Totally
could. Yeah.
understand. Yeah.
Talk about how intense these days were. What was like the time frame? Were you looking at like 12-hour days, 16-hour days?
Oh, no, yeah.
like,
Well, they'd start at 5 a.m. on Monday morning,
Yeah.
right? And then they'd go, and in the first, they might be ambitious and try to, if they only went 12 or 13 hours or whatever the first day,
Yeah.
they'd keep kicking that can across the week so that then by Friday,
Yeah.
they'd be shooting until like sunup into Saturday morning every week because you have to start a little later depending on when you finish.
Because you need to turn around for people.
Yeah,
to,
but no, we regularly had 14, 15-hour days and sometimes much longer.
Much longer. Yeah.
Yeah. Yes.
No, hold on. She's
Okay,
we got
go
one
ahead.
here.
If you were to live in Stars Hollow, who would you want to live next door to?
Oh, God. kill myself. Emily?
Oh, that means because you'd be in a big house.
I'd be living in a fancy neighborhood.
She doesn't live in the Stars Hollow.
Oh, she doesn't? You've never watched the show.
You've never seen the show.
That's true. The question was Stars
Yeah.
Hollow. Oh, Lord.
Well, not Kirk, we know that.
No.
I just live next to Luke because he'd always be coming over and fixing stuff that needed fixing in my house, probably.
Then you'd be
And he'd be
next to
quiet
Jesus.
about it. He'd just come over and fix it and leave. It'd be great.
Everyone else lived in Stars Hollow, just Kelly didn't live? Who?
No, they
I understand.
were the premise of the show is that they're gonna pay for Rory's schooling, but in order to do that,
Oh,
they've
yeah,
gotta go
yeah.
to these weekly
Yeah,
dinners.
yeah.
So they have to drive into
Yeah.
Hartford to the home.
Yeah,
that
I'd
she
live in
grew up
Hartford. I would live in Yeah, that's probably where he'd live. Yeah.
Yes.
Mine was just about
The revival?
coming back again, the revival again. So it ended so open-ended. Do you know if there's going to be another one, or at least?
She arrived late.
He opened the thing by saying, we have no, the short version is we have no clue.
Is it something that you two at least would be interested in doing yourselves?
I mean, if I don't have any scenes with Sean.
That's why we didn't have scenes in it together.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
I can't stand that guy.
But sure, yeah, of course, but there's nothing in the works
Yeah.
I wouldn't hold my breath, but who knows?
I do love playing the character in a way that I kind of didn't the first time around. I mean, I liked it fine, but there was something about being a younger actor and being sort of like, you're worried about the next thing in your career, and I play this, let's face it, incredible loser on, and so like there was a part of it that I didn't quite fully embrace, but then going and doing it again, being a little older and really loving, great scripts over what they're gonna get, what it's gonna lead to in my career. I really loved doing it a lot the second time around. So I welcome the opportunity to do it if it comes up, but you never know. I mean, you never know. I would say, there's, like you said, there's nothing in the works. Who knows?
All right, well, in that vein, let's say you guys get cast as the producer of the next thing. Would you prefer it be a continuation of the revival, or a show called Stars Hollow that talks about the town when Lorelai arrives?
How much do I make with each one? Is there one attached to a larger salary than the other? Okay.
They're both super big. Whatever Netflix is giving for shows.
Hold on, so
which one would you rather produce and be a part of? The continuation of the revival, or a spin-off show called Stars Hollow that is about the town?
No, the
when Lorelai shows
continuation.
up? Continuation?
Yeah, I'd be curious.
And where would you take it? Where would you take that?
Oh my God, I don't.
Like, will
I mean,
Rory
this
get
is
a
why
job?
we're actors.
Yeah.
Because it's like Amy, I want, I'm very, I honor the creative vision of the people who are writing and creating the shows. So for me to think about what I would do with the story is just not part of my, it's just not part of my vocabulary as an actor. As someone who works, I'm interested in where Amy wants to take the story.
Right. Although it is,
I mean, obviously.
It is an interesting, like I was just shooting, and I don't know who knows the show, but Curb Your Enthusiasm on HBO with Larry David, who created Seinfeld, a big show, right? Yeah. So anyway, but you have no script, right? So it's all improvised. You just have the outline of the scene. So it will say, Larry shows up, you're making small talk, he gets angry because of that, and you walk out yelling. So that's all you know. So you have to write. Basically, you're writing as you're acting because there's no script. And that part is interesting because it allows you to do things that it's a different part of you that is engaged in that process because you're thinking storyline as you're doing it. It's fascinating. It's scary as shit. But,
oh God, it sounds like it makes my skin. It sounds terrifying. Honestly, I don't like. I would do it. I would welcome auditioning and
Yeah.
giving it a shot.
Yeah.
But I don't. People ask me all the time if I do improv because I've primarily become a comedic actor in my career for whatever reason. But I hate improvising. I do. Yeah, I hate it. I like scripts. I love
good scripts, don't get me wrong.
I love
Yeah.
I love trying to make something as funny as I can within the parameter of this is what you have to say to get there.
Yeah.
And so I don't know. I mean, I would try it, but I find it frightening.
I had a coach at an acting coach in New York at the acting studio, and he kept saying before we'd start a scene, once after you rehearse the scene, obviously, and everything, this is an improv. Do the scene right now with everything we've worked on, but as if it's an improv. And the beauty of doing, let's say, Curb, it is an improv.
Yeah.
So you're always surprised by what's thrown at you, but you have to say yes to everything that is said. So if someone says something about you in the improv, you can't deny it. You have to go with it. That's the rule of improvising. You build on the information that the other person provides. But it creates something different because obviously everything is fresh. And you just told me that, really? Oh, okay. So it's a different dynamic. It's interesting. But I understand.
Yeah, no, I mean, and I did I did, like in acting school, there was a lot of different types of improvisation that are done, but yeah, I don't get excited about it the way some actors do.
All right, fine, don't do it.
I would love to give it a crack. No, I don't know. I just don't know if that'd be good.
Yeah.
So would you give it a crack? And I don't know if it's asking too much, but would you do a line in your characters?
Oh, in our
I'm
character.
sorry if that's asking too much.
What? I think you should feed them a line.
No, the answer is no. Sorry, I welcome the question, but no. Sorry.
Michel is very easy because he just talks with the French accent, There you go.
Oh gosh, now I look back because you.
Yeah, that's why I did it.
We're not going to ask you to get naked.
You can do the face. I'll just do the face.
Distraught and confused.
Oh, hi. Are there any lost episodes?
Oh, lost scenes.
Yeah, maybe.
In the revival, there was a scene that I loved that had to be cut, but not. Yeah, it's a scene where me and Lorelai takes me to the an elderly home that she purchased to open a spa for me because I wanted to leave in the revival, and then she buys this building, and we're opening a spa there, and it's the whole thing. I walk in and it stinks. I make bitchy comments until I realizes that this is a real thing and she wants to do it, and we're jumping up and down and screaming. It was a really fun scene. So,
Yeah, I had a scene cut from the revival too, and it wasn't that memorable. It was just a short scene where I'm kind of going into more detail about what I'm going to do as the wedding planner, which when I then saw the show, it's like, oh, it wasn't necessary, that's why it was cut. But yeah, that's odd because there weren't any, I don't remember any scenes that were cut from the original series.
Oh, the original? Oh.
Like,
no,
we
I
never
don't-
had scenes cut.
I don't think so.
Yeah, I don't think we did. I mean, at least I don't remember any.
Yeah, no, I don't think so.
Like, scenes that maybe shaved a little bit, but not actually cut.
Okay, I
But
don't know if anybody.
no episodes, sorry, buddy.
I don't know if anybody else is feeling the same way as me. That cut scene is like one of my biggest questions about the revival.
Which one? Which scene?
About the going to the spa.
Oh, the spa.
Because the revival leaves it like we don't even know if they get back, if like she,
Well,
if Michelle,
No,
left.
well, Amy's answer to that was yes, because Lauren goes to her mom and asks for money to open
open
it,
the
to
spa.
keep it, yeah, and the mom says yes if whatever she says.
But at this point, it's like 2 weeks after Michelle says, I'm going to have to go to this other
That's
place.
true. I mean, I was disappointed. I thought that would have been clearer,
Yeah,
but
I
I think.
assumed that they get back together,
Right.
but it's like, I didn't know they shot a scene where
Oh,
it's like,
yeah.
now they start a spot.
Yeah, there was a scene. Yeah, I think it was just depth, so it was just too long. But, yeah, no, I agree, it would have been clearer, yeah.
Is there any other thing, any other information we're missing?
I think so.
I think so.
I think so.
Another questions?
Luke is Kirk's father.
Oh my God.
That's the other thing. The other thing cut out.
When you got to the set, what was your favorite thing to do when you got to the set?
In a revival, you mean, or just in general?
Just in general.
Oh, in general. That's a good question. Getting my coffee. I don't know. Me, I have this thing. It's just, I think it comes from the theater. I always arrive a little early, or I get ready early and I go to set, and I just walk around with my lines in the space, and I try to think, oh, what would he be doing, and I try to find activity, like some stuff for him to do, and I try to create that before we rehearse. So I've always kind of done that. It's just my little me time before people show up, so that I just have some anchor in the scene.
We're kind of similar in
You
some
do that,
ways.
yeah.
I tend to like try to sit and relax, and sometimes I'll pace, but
Yeah.
I sort of am constructing the scene mentally, but like all parts of it, so that I know how it starts and how it ends, and where my character sort of factors into the whole thing, and I sort of just visualize the scene
Right.
before we go shoot it. You know?
Yeah.
And do my lines. It's like there's always on Gilmore Girls, you're always
Yeah.
just like learning your lines
Yeah.
at every moment. 'Cause
Yeah.
it's, you know, there's so many times when when you think you've got them all.
Oh,
You
yeah,
know?
yeah.
Like, yeah.
And sometimes we would get the lines the night before.
Yeah.
And you know, English is my second language, so I really need a little more time to learn lines, because my brain is just it's not my first language. So for me, I would panic if I would get the scenes the night before.
Oh God.
And I had, you know,
Sometimes the
monologues
night
and
before
things.
was like 4 a.m.
Yeah.
And then you had to be at work at 6.
Yeah,
you know,
and we didn't
that
have
happened.
emails, so there would be the
Yes.
script at your door. So I would open the door a couple of times a night to see
God,
the script was there.
So helpful. Yeah, it's true. It'd
yeah,
be there.
remember?
I remember that. I
Yeah.
remember nights where like I'd be tired and I'd get up and it'd be like midnight or something. I'd be like, I gotta work early the next day, and checking me like, it's still not there. God.
Yeah.
God, I hope I have nothing. And then maybe I'd get lucky and, you know, Kirk would just be like, you know, doing Tai Chi or something.
Yeah.
But other times there'd be a monologue, right?
Yeah. Oh, that would.
And I
kill
remember
me.
one time in the episode where in the Festival of Living Art where Kirk plays Jesus, which is one of my favorite episodes. But he does this thing where he ends up getting these followers, and he like gets up and he starts preaching to everybody. And he has a whole chunk of dialogue there. And Dan Palladino gave me that it's a paragraph that he handed to me on set when I got to set to shoot the scene.
I can't,
He's
but
like,
I can.
He's
I
like,
can.
we're adding this in,
No.
and I'm like, okay, you know, you're gonna give me. He's like, you can do it. You're good at this. I know you can do it. I'm like, all right, man. And then I was kind of like, well, at least, you know, since you're giving it to me right now, does it have to be word perfect the way that it like? Hopefully, you'll give me a little bit of leeway on this. And it was like, nope.
But one of me, like, I have to say that Lauren is phenomenal.
She's brilliant.
Because she had so many scenes and so many lines, she couldn't learn them before. So she would get her makeup in the morning, and she'd be reading the lines. We would go rehearse the scene once. She'd be reading the lines, literally reading, and then we'd come back, and she'd ask, okay, what's the line? She wouldn't have the pages, and then take 2, take 3, and she would know it. But like paragraphs, I'm like, how? What? Like, it didn't make any sense to me. But she has a very visual, it's like a photographic memory, and she sees
I
don't know. She said, I know, I don't, she doesn't even know how she does it, but it's kind of like amazing.
Yeah, it is amazing.
It
is amazing.
yeah.
And there's a few actors that I was really like, like Liza Weil would always be word perfect on every single take, and I never saw her memorizing her lines. Like I don't.
But she worked on it before.
Yeah, right. Yeah. No, I know, and it was different.
she's also a
the
theater
workload,
actor, yeah.
right? The workload for Lauren is like, it's
Yeah.
nothing approaches it that I've ever seen any actor have to do
Right.
on
No.
a TV series. But yeah, but Mike Winters was another guy who would have like, he was kind of unsung because his stuff would be. It would be this like, this like managerial stuff where he'd be going through just a list of
Yes, that's
of
true.
things
Oh,
to
that's
say
hard.
to the town,
That's
and
tough.
that had no sort of emotional resonance or whatever, and he would have pages and pages of that. And I just think he's
Yeah.
so good at it. But,
That's true.
yeah.
So because of that, has everything since just been easy?
Oh, line-wise or like a
like
dialogue?
you get a script and you're like, yeah, I can handle this.
But funny enough, when it's not as well written, it's tougher to learn. No, but seriously.
That's so.
It's true.
So true. Every actor will tell you that.
Yeah,
when the script is good, the lines are easier to memorize.
Yes, definitely.
Because they make sense.
Yeah,
And
they're connected
it adds up.
emotionally to something.
And then what your scene partner says leads directly to what you respond with.
Yeah.
So like good scripts, that's how they work. But yeah, there are other scripts that are.
Yeah, but I've been pretty lucky with good stuff.
Yeah,
but
I think so.
All right, well, ladies and
Oh,
gentlemen.
yeah, hold
okay,
on. What did you want to say?
Was it ever stressful on set?
Stressful for me when, exactly what I just explained, when they would give me the lines the night before, and I'm expected to know my lines like a professional, and I'm a perfectionist. And first of all, also, like, there would also be oftentimes where there'd be like 4 or 5 words that I didn't even understand what they meant. I would have to ask, like, what does that mean? What does that mean? Then, then I would get the joke. Then you have to put that in your head. Oh, okay, that's a joke, that's a joke, that's a joke. Then get the, so I would show up tense because I wasn't loose. It's just too fresh. And you have to have the comedy down and everything down. So that's when I would be tense.
I would say that Gilmore Girls in general was often stressful on set, I think. But I was very lucky in that the character that I played, like I said, I had a lot of these broad comedy scenes and stuff. So in general, the scenes that I shot, people would be a little looser. I think the crew would be a little bit looser than they often were. And so I sort of was a beneficiary of, my role is I think it's important, but it's not that big. So I didn't quite have the workload with lines, and so I was less stressed out than I think most of the actors were.
Was the first season shot in Ontario, or was that just like certain?
Just a pilot.
The pilot, yeah.
Pilot.
Okay.
Yeah.
The rest was basically all on set, or?
Warner
Yes,
Brothers.
all Warner Brothers, yeah.
And after, so now the show is finished, like, do most of you keep in contact?
I mean, we talked about this the other
I know.
today.
He does, I don't.
I mean,
No, that's
like,
not entirely true.
Melissa and Lauren, because all of my scenes were with them for 7 years. So obviously I'm super close with them. I have dinner with them all the time. And then Kelly Bishop when I'm in New York. And then Liza, we have dinner from time to time, not super often, but we do. And Jared and Matt, we text a lot, but it's hard to see each other because Jared lives in Texas and he shoots in Vancouver, and Matt was shooting The Good Wife in New York for so long. But that's it. I mean, we were a big cast, but I'm also super nice, so
I'm always happy to see people, and if invited to any of these dinners, I would attend. No, but I don't know. I travel all the time.
I'll do a pity invitation
I travel all the
next
time.
time.
But I keep in touch. Okay, so John Cabrera, who played Brian, we've been the best of friends since predating the show. And I performed his wedding ceremony, actually, and I officiated his wedding. And Keiko, I talk to a fair amount, I see from time to time. And then everyone else, and Amy and Dan, I see from time to time. Everyone else, I'm always happy when I see them, but I don't.
He wasn't very well liked.
I think people thought I was shy or something.
No, I'm kidding. That's not true.
Ladies and gentlemen, Sean Gunn and Yanic Truesdale. You want to go in now?
Come on now.
Just don't look us directly in the eye.